Okay, this week you and I are breaking down understanding this police hiring process and understanding how you are ultimately going at it alone, with the exception of a few things. Let's discuss. As always, before we get started, we do have those two gifts for you. Getting started as a police officer, that free online workshop is going to walk you through each stage of the hiring process so you can better understand what is exactly in those stages. It also comes with some bonuses such as practice written exams. So jump on there, take that. If you have something more specific to you and to your hiring process, go ahead, sign up for a free coaching call. I'd be glad to walk you through everything that's in there and everything that pertains specifically to you. These are both my gifts to you. If you stick around for the end of this video, I do have one extra bonus to give you at the end that I think you're going to love and that we've been getting requests for nonstop. So let's jump in. What is this police hiring process? How do I better understand it? What am I going to see in it? Where are the big bottlenecks? And ultimately, why do I feel so alone going through it? Why do I feel that I have no assistance other than maybe some videos like this? And how do I get some help to make it through this arduous process? So first of all, let's look at where your bottlenecks are. We've discussed before that a lot of your bottlenecks that you can control are your written exam and your physical test and scoring as well as you can on them to get over to the board interview. However, departments are changing, right? Some departments are getting rid of their written exam, right? I don't agree with that necessarily, but some departments are getting rid of their written exam, where some departments are getting rid of their polygraph, which I wholeheartedly agree with. And I've passed every polygraph I've ever taken, and I've taken multiple ones. I just don't feel that if you can't use it in court, it's not good determining factor to hire a law enforcement officer. The other aspect is, but it's part of the process. I'm going off on 10. It's part of the process. You have to do it. Unless you get an agency or a department that doesn't have it. The other aspect, though, is your psychological exam. A big thing about your psychological exam is the fact that these psychological evaluators and these psychologists are actually understanding now that, hey, we have a decent amount of authority in determining whether or not an officer gets hired. And what do I mean by this? They don't necessarily get to determine whether or not you get hired, but they can send their report in a manner in which it would prevent or behoove the department that you're applying to from hiring you. If you have a bad psychological evaluation, the department's not going to want to hire you, because if something comes up down the line, maybe you're involved in an officer-involved incident where you're hurt, someone else is, your partner's hurt, or someone else is hurt, they're going to pull that. And they're going to pull that if it ever goes to trial or court. And the department doesn't want that on there. And they're going to say, hey, you hired this person with a bad psychological evaluation. And you don't want that, right? So these psychologists are learning that they have that kind of authority. I don't want to say power, because they have no real power, but they have that kind of authority, and it's making a major impact on their evaluation. Egos are starting to play a part. I don't agree with all this. It's just the truth. You can't account for human error. Egos are playing for a part. And I know these doctors love to believe that they're psychologists and they're above egos, but no one's above ego or personal bias or anything like that. So that's starting to get into the aspect, their personal opinion, right? And they're not their professional opinion, but their personal opinion. How you answer a question that maybe goes against their political values or their values are posing issues, right? And these issues are preventing them from signing off on a positive psychological evaluation. These hurdles, all these hurdles that you're going into, are all the hurdles that are put in place just from the hiring process. These aren't even your own hurdles. If you have to come in with prior speeding tickets, or if you come in with prior issues or anything like that, these are just the hurdles that are put in your way by the process. So understanding these hurdles are something that is critical. Now, when it comes to, once you have these hurdles understood, right? Like your medical board or your psychological interview and assessment, your board interview, all these different types of things. Once you have them figured out and you say, okay, this is how it normally rolls. Once again, every department might be a little bit different. Some departments might be out of order. Your background investigation is a huge one, right? Your background investigation is probably the longest part of the process, and it's the most temperamental, along with your polygraph. But once you have these all figured out, now you're getting into the aspect of I'm all alone, right? Now, if your family doesn't support you in this, that's something different. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about when I'm saying you're all alone in the process. Although I do wish that your family supports you in this decision, because becoming a law enforcement officer, it's your career and it affects them. Now, there is no greater job in law enforcement. Even if you didn't want to stay in law enforcement for your whole career, everyone will look at you moving forward, as long as you do what you're supposed to in law enforcement, you don't get in trouble. That will follow you and set the tone for your career for the rest of your life. That I promise you. But the big aspect is you go into it, and let's give the scenario. You got two different types of background investigators. You got your good cop and you got your bad cop. Your good cop is, hey man, I've seen it all. I've done it all. Just tell me what you're thinking or what's going on, and I'll help you work through it. And then you tell them something that maybe you misarticulated or you didn't properly articulate, or maybe something that you just didn't even remember, and they jogged your memory about something that doesn't even really apply. But you're saying, hey man, this background investigator is so nice. He's my friend. I feel like I can trust them. It's not the case. It's just a tactic. It's the good cop tactic. I've used it many of times. It works all the time. And I shouldn't say all the time, it works most of the time. And it's a good way to say, hey, I appreciate you being honest. Have a good day. And they just take your application and your file and they move it to the dismiss file for lack of transparency, for not filling out the questionnaire properly, or for, they might say you just lied on your questionnaire, even though you didn't. Then you got your bad cop, which is, hey, if you don't tell me the truth right now, I'll make sure you never get a job in this town, state, or country as a law enforcement officer. And I look at them and I say, hey, you have nowhere close to that type of authority. Most of the time, these background investigators aren't even law enforcement. And then on top of it, some of them are even third-party members, and they just don't have that type of authority. However, a new person applying to become a law enforcement officer doesn't know that. They're already nervous. They're already really want this job because it's a dream and a passion of theirs, but it's just an intimidating process. And then you throw someone like the bad cop background investigator on top of it, and it's trouble. Then you have someone that's right down the middle of the road who plays both sides and says, hey, if you lie to me, there's nothing I can do to help you. But if you tell me the truth, we can work through some stuff, right? That's middle line. That's the way I used to do it when I would actually review police officers. It's one of those things that you just need to understand right off the bat, that no one in the hiring process is there to help you. Now, the nice part is there's resources out there. There's some departments put out resources to help you with the PT test, to help you with the physical test. There's resources such as this, free content on YouTube. These are all good resources that help you get through where you need. And then there's other resources out there. There's practice tests. We offer practice tests. There's practicing board interviews. There's understanding polygraphs, and gaining knowledge is never going to hurt you. The best thing that I ever did in my career was invest in myself in an EMT program. And I never wanted to be a medical guy, but I invested in myself in an EMT program. That got me my first job as a law enforcement officer, because I was an EMT and the other candidate wasn't. And then because I got that job in law enforcement, that got me my first job in DC as a federal officer, which then at that point led me to, because I was an EMT and one of the instructorships was in tactical medicine, I got my first instructorship in tactical medicine, right? And then because I had that, I was already an instructor, that I just kept going to instructor school. And then it led me to training full-time, which is where I'm at now, and helping you get through this hiring process. So you're not alone. You're not alone, but do not think that anyone in the hiring process is there to help you. You're always being evaluated, even if you're doing something like the pre-power program up in Illinois or anything that's similar to that. A lot of states and departments have very similar programs to help individuals get in shape. Those are great programs, but make no mistake, you're being evaluated by members in that department when you're in those programs, and they're ranking you right there from the beginning, whether or not they feel that you're a good candidate, a bad candidate, or just a mediocre candidate. And remember, when you only have so many billets in the academy, that's the word I'm looking for, in the academy, you're looking to be one of the best candidates. Otherwise, you're not going to get hired. So I promised you something. I promised you something at the end of this, and it's something that's been asked by almost every single person in our coaching communities. And that is a new coaching program that will walk you through and guide you through the entire hiring process. You choose how long you need it for. It gives you immediate access to our flagship product, which is our Getting Hired as a Police Officer Online Academy, which you still have to look at my face in the trainings. I apologize, but that academy breaks down every single way to go through each stage of the hiring process and how to score the best in each one. But now this group coaching community gives you access to me directly, where we will be doing live coaching call every month. I answer questions, Q&As every single day, as well as answer them during the live calls. If you can't make a live call or if you miss one, you will get a recorded playback and so many other features, not to mention the community that supports you all on your wins, that helps you through any of your downtime. So it's a daunting experience. When you're told yes, you want to celebrate it, but who are you going to celebrate it with? No one knows how hard you work to get there. When you're told no, it hurts because you really have a passion for this. And now other people can understand it and remotivate you to get back at it, or focus on your second department or your third department. So we created Police Candidate Coaching Community. The doors are open now. They are not going to stay open. I have to open and close them so that I can give quality training to the individuals in the community. You stay as long as you want. It's a monthly cycle. And as I said, you'll get private access to the community, private access to our live training, private access to the online academy, Getting Hired as a Police Officer, and so much more. The goal here is this is what you need to achieve your goals, right? This group coaching community, or this police candidate coaching community, is going to take you where you need to be, and it's going to give you all the tools you need to become a police officer. So that is there. I want everyone who feels they need it to sign up. You stay as long as you like. As soon as you get hired, if you want to stay longer, you can. We'll help you through the academy. But if you're just saying, hey, I got what I needed out of this, I appreciate all your time, Frank, and everyone else in this community, you can just end your membership right then and there. And that's the goal we wanted. We were doing these weekly trainings, but people said they wanted more after their term ended, and they wanted to go on a more monthly thing. So this is where we're at with it. I hope it helps. The link for that is also in the description. It is Police Candidate Coaching Community, and it's everything you need, all the tools you need, everything you need to get your job as a police officer. As always, stay safe. I look forward to seeing you in the coaching community, and I will see you next time.